Hey, good morning. My name's Denny Smith from the Home and Garden Show on WIBC. Thanks for joining me on my farm today. Today we've got the folks from C&J Well Drilling and Service. They are out to do a well cleaning. A lot of people who live in the country just think that well's down there and they don't ever have to do anything. Nothing could be further from the truth. Indeed, down inside that well casing, we've got a lot of different debris that we need to get out. We can have particles of clay and everything. You can't believe what end up in a well. Most of all, we've got manganese, iron, and to a certain extent, some solidified sulfur. Zach's got the pulley pole. They attach that down by the pitless adapter, and then they pull it out along with the wire. Kevin's doing all the heavy work. Kevin's doing the dragging. That looks like a 2 horsepower pump. What we're trying to do is to make sure that these ports are wide open. Now, this black on his towel, that's probably manganese. Manganese, hopefully, is not in high concentration, but that looks pretty clean, quite frankly. Kevin, that looks pretty good.
Not too bad.
That looks pretty good. So what we're going to do now is fire up a compressor. This is the same type of compressor that you will see on the highway with the guys with jackhammers. Now, the first time they came out 10 years ago, I got a little bit nosy, and so I walked over here, and they had the pipe down there. And then all of a sudden, Mount Vesuvius came out of this thing. What they're doing now is they're just putting a weight on this. We need a weight to run it down. Normally, when we run our well pipe down, we've got a inch and a horsepower or horse and a half. So this happens to be 2 horse, and that's heavy enough to pull that plastic line down. This plastic pipe, they'd be shoving it down there, and it's not got enough weight. So what they've done is they've taken their pull pole, taken off the T-bar off the top, and now they're going to start forcing that down the hole and get it ready to hook up to the compressor. And what Kevin and Zach have done now is they've got their weight. They've got their 1 1/4 pipe on this, and they've taken it all the way to the bottom, and it's resting on the bottom of the well. What we're going to do now is we're going to mark with some sort of color tape. We know that that's the bottom. When we introduce all of this air, in order to get the vacuum off the bottom, what we're going to want to do is pull this up about 20 feet. So what Kevin's going to do is he's going to mark it, measure off 20 feet, we'll bring it up, and then we use our vice grips. These are well driller vice grips. They look like they're almost custom made, and we'll clamp these down, and then this will hold the pipe at the top of the well casing. We used to have to do that with what everybody calls a monkey wrench or a pipe wrench. This is so much easier and quite a bit more secure. What Kevin's doing right now is he's opening up the ball valve that allows the air to go down into the well casing. We've got about 100 foot of well pipe going down there. And once that compressor starts getting the air down there, then we're going to start to see the bubbling as it comes out. Ought to be pretty exciting. What Kevin is doing is just cracking this valve over here on the rear end of the compressor. If you were to open it up all the way, we get quite a mess. So he's just cracking it a little bit at a time, waiting to see if he's getting bubbles or any sort of water pop out. There we go. Now at this point, we saw a little bit of brown. We don't see any iron. That is very, very mild. Now he's going to open her up. RPM once he sees what's coming out. You don't want to put all of your air pressure in right off the bat. You want to ease it in a little bit at a time. He's pretty close to wide open right now. The national parks in Yosemite don't have anything on us. Now the temperature of that water is about 50 to 55 degrees. A lot of people think it's going to be freezing cold. We've got geothermal heat down below. A lot of people could use this same well casing to heat their home. What Kevin's doing right now is we know we're about 20 foot up. Now he's going to go down a little bit deeper and see if we can get any more particulate matter off the bottom of this well. Things that really changed well drilling and well works over the years has been what is known as a pitless adapter. The pitless adapter is this little device right on the end. You can see that we have an O-ring right here and it has a flush mount. What we do is we block off the top part when we're pumping. The pump is pushing the water all the way up from the well. We block this off at the top and it forces the water out here. So you say, Denny, where's this water going? Well, on the side of the well casing, right through the 6-inch well casing, sometimes it's 5-inch, sometimes it's 4. We don't see many 4s anymore. That pitless adapter goes through there, and this allows us to pull this out without disconnecting everything. That little O-ring is in a inclined plane, and you might be able to see that it's thinner at the bottom and thicker at the top. So as we drive that down on that pitless adapter, it wedges that O-ring directly across that bronze face, and we have an airtight or a watertight connection, which is really what we want. This changed well drilling and well providers forever, because it used to be we had to do a direct connection. We used to have an 1.25 inch union, sometimes an 1.5 inch union, and you can imagine how cold that would be in the wintertime trying to break that loose. So the next thing is we know that the well is clean now. So what they're going to do is they're going to inspect the pump before they put it back down in. Pumps are, we used to call them torpedo pumps, and you can see why. That looks just like a torpedo that would go through a submarine. We don't pump from the bottom. The old worry is that if we put our screen on the bottom, whereas we could get to the bottom of the well, we'd also pick up a lot of sludge and whatnot. We want to pull, at least on our pump itself, we want to make sure that our intake is in the center of the pump. So the motor is probably down here, and then we're just shoving it up this line. When the boys put this back down, we already know the depth that it has to be, because that's where that pitless adapter is already set up and ready to go. They'll put a long piece of pipe on here with a T on it, and then one of them will start to fill this down. I don't imagine that there are any issues on the wiring itself. Sometimes well people will be a little bit careless and they'll go down really, really quick, and what they do is actually shave the insulation right off the wire. Of course, that's not good, and then you have to replace all the wiring. So the next step is they're going to put an adapter on here so that they can move it back down in there and then attach it to that pitless adapter. The pitless adapter is not at the top. The pitless adapter is probably 3 or 4 foot down. Kevin, how deep do you guys go with pitless adapters?
Below the frost line.
Below the frost line. Our frost line is probably right at 50 inches in central Indiana. We're on the northern side of central Indiana.